Hey, how's it going everyone? Ryan here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. A brand new Animal Crossing New Horizons island in 2024? What is going on here? And well, allow me to explain. If you have gotten into Animal Crossing New Horizons recently, so anytime after the 2.0 update came out, you probably weren't there for a lot of the escapades that a lot of us Animal Crossing New Horizons fans had to deal with when this game first came out. There were a lot of waiting for updates to happen, a lot of speculation as to how things in the game worked, and so on and so forth. And since that time, all that content, all that news and information has been out there, so the secrets, the sciences, and all that stuff behind the game is basically out there for everyone to know. And with that being said, it means that there's really not much else to unpack for Animal Crossing New Horizons, and the only thing left to do is simply play it. And as someone who was there during the sciencey phase of Animal Crossing New Horizons, I unfortunately didn't feel like I got to experience New Horizons for what it was probably meant to be enjoyed as, which is just this relaxing kind of daily slice of life sim game that you get to play and not take so seriously. Of course, it came out during a time when we all took it seriously. We all basically took it as a full-time job, and as someone who was able to make a full-time job out of it, I wanted to revisit it and see what it's like for someone going into the game today who didn't have to deal with waiting for updates, who didn't know when the next things were going to happen. And I'm very curious to see what this final product basically is that Nintendo has released for Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'll talk about it a little bit more as we get into it, but for now, let's get through the airport. Let's get to the island. Good morning, Timmy and Tommy. It has been a while since we've seen you guys, but it feels so good. The first step is checking your application. Is this your first time applying for one of our packages? This time around, it's gonna be, well, I don't really know what that option is. I'm just gonna say yes, it is. I can't remember what I'm moving does. So this is the one where I'm not going to spend too much time on my appearance. I already know that there's a lot of stuff that I need to unlock, definitely hairstyle wise, but there's a lot of accessories too, like glasses and things like that. So this one, I'm just going to get the base of the character that I usually had on my channel before. I think it was like these eyes, maybe that one. And I'll pretty much leave everything else as is. I know the starting clothes are also randomized, and this one's not that bad. Yellow plaid shirt, blue jeans, yellow matching shoes. Not bad. Now for probably one of the more exciting parts of the intro to this game, which is going to be choosing your island layout. So this is where I know a lot of people tend to probably close down the game and reopen the game to try to get a good island layout. But one of the things that I really want to try to emphasize when doing this type of playthrough now is the not so much of wanting to know where things are going to be later on in the game. As I mentioned before, we all know things about terraforming and stuff that can happen, so you already know that the way these rivers are formed is not going to be the way that they can be later on in the game. When I look back at old Animal Crossing style games, there's obviously no terraforming that you can do, but for some reason they were still just as fun the day before as they are the day you play it. And so I'm going to try to experience Animal Crossing New Horizons from the perspective of, say, like Wild World or New Leaf, where really your interactions are just kind of the characters that are there and the chores that you decide to do that day. Looking at these island layouts, if I'm going to choose either one of these two, or either one of these four, I think it's going to be one of these two. There's just something about the way that the rivers and the mountains look on these two that I'm not really that fond of. With these two, I think I'm going to go for this one in the upper left. It just feels like I can do way more with the overall layout, especially if I don't plan on terraforming all that much, which I don't. Before we depart, I have just one final question. If you could only bring one thing with you to a deserted island, what would it be? This is one of the things that after this game has been out for 4 years, I'm gonna have to say I don't know if this actually affects anything. If it does, leave a comment down below and let me know. I'm gonna say it doesn't, but look, you gotta survive. I'm not gonna eat my sleeping bag or a lamp. I'm gonna bring some food with me. I'm sorry, that was just a hypothetical question. See, I think that was just for fun, but if it does do something, I would have no idea about it. Now that I'm seeing that plane in the bottom right corner, this is also another anticipatory, exciting part of the intro of the game. I don't know how much of this matters for any of you guys. Seeing the color of your airport for me was always kind of exciting. I am hoping for a blue airport again. It's just my favorite color. Hey, there we go, a blue airport. Well, we got what we asked for. And our starting villagers are... Ooh, I admittedly don't remember a lot of the names for a lot of the villagers that aren't, say, koalas or squirrels, as that was the theme of my last few islands. But we have Quinn, who's a very pretty color, and Biff, who I kind of remember from all of my villager hunts. But man, the nostalgia. It's crazy how a game that only came out 4 years ago can have this much nostalgia. But this game was here during an important time in my life, and I'm sure it was for a lot of us. Let's go ahead and get this started. I'd like each of you to choose a spot of your own. It's the first step to putting down some real roots. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just get started with a simple tent. Please collect your tent from Timmy and Tommy. When I place my tent here, I'm going to be doing so basically under the assumption that I won't be moving it, or at least as much as possible. I know that when it comes to decorating an island and terraforming an island, it means that a lot of stuff gets in the way, and it means a lot of stuff needs to be moved and waited for the next day in order for it to be there so you can continue decorating. But as much as possible, I'm going to attempt to not move anything. As I said before, I'm probably not going to do much terraforming, if at all. And oh, there's that familiar first few days music playing. If you didn't know, the first week that you are in Animal Crossing New Horizons, the music that plays is different than the hourly music, and this right here just brings back memories. Man, if I'm not gonna waste that much time though, I think what I'm gonna do, let's see. First, I'm just gonna scavenge around and see. I'm noticing that I can't pick up anything yet. They really just want you to place your tent first. I'm trying to clean up out here and can't do so. I'm just gonna give myself some space and kind of go over here. I mean, it's already naturally cleared out for me, it feels like, anyway. So this seems like as good a spot as any. Yep, seems perfect to me. Now the tent's all set up. Let's go check in and see if I can't help Quinn and Biff finally place their tents where they are already anticipating it. Thinking that this is a good spot. Looks good to me. Looks nice, don't it? Looks great. I mean, they both placed their tents relatively close by to the plaza, which before I would have been kind of like upset about, because I've always wanted a little bit of room around the plaza to decorate, but in this instance, we'll just let them build it as is. So there's Quinn's. Oh, I like Biff's tent color, nice and blue. Yep, looks great. You can still see the plaza to your right, but you know, if anything, his is a little bit to the, like a little bit further to the left. That was a tough decision. You totally saved my glutes. Now, if you've been following the channel for a long time, you already know that my favorite jock villager is Lyman, the koala. Unfortunately, as you can see, no Lyman on this playthrough, but with a new island comes things like villager hunts, which means that there will always be an opportunity for Lyman to pop back up on the island, but we'll just have to wait and see. There is a chance that whenever I get new villagers, I may not even do any hunting, but I know how much you all love villager hunts, so we'll just have to wait and see how that goes down. With that taken care of, we can move on to more serious business, like throwing an island warming party. If I remember correctly, the only thing I need to do is just go gather some sticks and fruit or something like that, or someone's in charge of the sticks. Alright, cool. Ryan and I will work on gathering firewood and perhaps a little snack. That's what I thought. And if I saw correctly, the fruit that is on this island is cherries. 10 tree branches should do the trick. You can find them scattered about the island. And he's investigating the cherry-like items growing in the trees. So I can't collect any of the cherries just quite yet. Can I shake the trees, though? Okay. Well, I can collect the cherries. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick up the prerequisite 10 branches, sticks, and then I'm probably just going to go ahead and collect some cherries as well, too, just to get that sorted in case it is something I need to collect later on. I can't remember, though. 10 cherries and 10 tree branches. Man, like I said before, I cannot believe a game that is only 4 years old feels as nostalgic as it does. I'll talk a little bit more about my experience with Animal Crossing and, you know, how it grew from 1.0 into the 2.0 update and into things like Happy Home Paradise. I mean, if you picked this game up recently in 2023, 2024, I'm not sure if anyone who has done anything like research into how the old game or how the game used to play back in 2020, 2021, but I'll tell you, it was a lot of waiting around. It was a lot of waiting and seeing when new things were going to happen. A lot of science, a lot of people testing out various item combinations and things, or flower placements to see how things grew. So that was a super exciting time, but I'm very much excited to get into the chill aspect of this game now. Now that I've got everything, let's go ahead and give everything to Tom Nook. Got all the tree branches you need. And now that he's been done doing his research about the cherries, Will you collect 6 of them for me? And I've already collected them. Cool. So I don't have to go through the dialogue of him confirming that I've got them. That's awesome. I suppose we can't call this a deserted island anymore, But what should we call it? So the first island that I did, the name of it was Diamond. It was like Dyemund. I wanted a real word, but spelled funny. And then I had Chillin, my southern hemisphere island, and I had Acorn, which was an island that I planned on making all squirrels. Now, I don't have a plan for villagers, themes, or anything like that for this island, but there is one word in particular I cannot get out of my brain that would be such a funny word for an island, and that is Churro. Now, normally, whenever I have a pet in a game or something like that, I name it Churro. But since you can't do things like rename villagers or things like that in this game, having Churro just be the name of the island seems to be appropriate enough. All ideas happening at once. Reckland, Nookits, Buffberg. If everyone is in agreement, we could just go with Churro. Since you've proven yourself by naming Churro, I'd like to rely on you for other critical decisions we'll need to make on this island. I hereby name you the resident representative of Churro. Could you please say a word or two as a new spokesperson for your new neighbors? And what other classic way to introduce a brand new community than just by saying a word or two? A toast to Churro and the happiness of its residents. Everybody watching this video, thank you so much for joining me here on a brand new island. Cheers to you all. I'm super excited to get back into this whole thing. It has been so long since I've played this game, it feels like, and to do so in a way that isn't so serious, I'm actually really excited for. Hi, Biff. So got some boxes around. God, the ambiance that gets created in the... I don't know if this is like the prequel or the intro to the game, I don't know. But it's so different from how the rest of the game plays that I almost just want to stay here forever, even though I know I can't. Let's move on. All right, let's unpack some of these boxes. We have a nice little lamp here in the corner and a radio, of course. And we'll go to sleep. That is officially the end of the... Well, I don't know if it's the end of the first day, but it's at least officially the end of the first part of the intro. Looks like you decided to make your own way in the world. Hi, KK. So I feel like I'm not really spoiling anything for anybody at this point. The game's been out for quite a long time, and to be honest with you, if it was a movie that had come out even like 2 years ago, I would even say spoilers because, I mean, come on. 2 years is long enough for anybody, I think. But, so, to recap, in order to get KK onto your island to do the whole ceremony and unlock terraforming, you have to get your island to 3 stars. And in order to get your island to a 3-star rating, you have to do a lot of things, such as getting villagers on your island, opening up stores, building ramps, bridges, and of course, just decorating. I've done a video before breaking down what it takes in order to get all the points for those types of categories in order to increase the rating of your island. The thing is, though, with me wanting to play this game in a little bit more of a chill sense, and more or less just experiencing all the different updates that they've added since then without feeling like the need to rush to get them, what that means is that I don't know how long it's going to take for this island to get to 3 stars. And with that in mind, I don't even know how long it's going to take for this island to get to 5 stars. I'm simply just going to be playing it, putting things out if they seem appropriate, and if it so happens to get the island up to a decent rating, then so be it. Which I'm sure is how they intended it anyway. Of course, we kind of bastardized that process by, again, doing all the science stuff to try and figure out how to get to that point. So I'm very curious and interested to see, playing this game from a natural perspective, or at least a more natural perspective, how long it would feel like it would take me to get to that point. So here we are, it's the next day. I have a few more things that you might find useful as you adjust to life in our little paradise. First, you'll need one of these. Nice little Nook phone here. There's also a very useful app that contains advice for living here. Normally this would not be free of charge, but as you're just getting started, consider it an extra bonus. It's called Island Life 101, and it is a message delivery service of sorts. I remember Island Life 101 being announced as one of the new things that they were adding to the game in the 2.0 update, which when I first saw it announced, I originally thought that it wasn't really for me. I had been playing the game at that point for 1,000 hours. I felt like I knew a lot of stuff. And like I said, there was a science point and we were all trying to figure that stuff out anyway. From a brand new play-through perspective, such a wonderful app. Yes, you do have to pay for it if you decline it now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and turn it on. I don't know or remember if you can turn it off. And as far as I can remember, it only happens during loading screens. So if nothing else, it just makes the loading screens a bit more... I'm not gonna say modern, but you know, you have a loading screen that gives you a tip like, hey, don't forget to save before you do stuff. That's what the Island Life 101 app, I feel like it does. Oh, right, the one more thing. The itemized bill. The bill always comes due, even for the resident representative. All right, so 5,000 miles is the total cost that we're going to have to pay, which means that it's going to be a lot of doing what I used to do a lot in the beginning, which is to do a lot of dailies. My new life is underway. I can do whatever I want. Checking out the Island Life 101 app, it looks like what it does is I think it just puts all of the tips it's given you into one little section so you can reference them later, which is kind of cool. Check our mail here for the day. Right. So I do have the Happy Home Paradise DLC for this game, and so we just got the Paradise Planning photo from Nintendo, and of course, Nintendo's first little present that they give you for starting your island life here is the simple DIY workbench. Very nice. Oh, right, I can't memorize it yet. I guess I have to go to Tom Nook and do that first. Let's open up this photo here, and I'm just going to quickly place it in my tent. And I can't hang it on the wall or anything like that, so this will just have to do. And I don't know how long it's going to take me to unlock Happy Home Paradise, but I am very excited to see that wonderful cast of characters again, especially Nico. If there is one thing I do not miss about starting a brand new island, it is the weeds cleanup, man. There are so much. And, you know, to be completely honest with you, I don't really think it takes that long. It's just one of those things where if you don't finish it all in either one sitting or as much of it as you possibly can, then the next time you come to it, it may just be a little bit worse. And so I'm just going to clean up some of this stuff while talking about it. But this may be something I end up doing. I know that this definitely contributes to your island rating, but this is unfortunately one of those very tedious things that I think I might just do as I come around to it. So I'm just going to clean up a little bit of this stuff, especially around my tent, and then I'm going to head to Nook's Cranny and continue on with getting this island built up. Offering a free DIY workshop that can help you really build out your island experience. Definitely going to be needing that. While I'm here, might as well have him explain everything else too, since I know at some point I'm going to probably use these things. The recycling bin, the Nook vending machine over here. I keep forgetting the terminal, I guess? The Nook stop, that's what it's called, the Nook vending machine. The biggest things that I'm going to be looking for in this shop are probably the KK stuff, and I know for a fact that I'm probably going to want a pipe, or at least 2 pipes at some point. For those that don't know, you can use the pipe. You can, like, basically the trick is to place a pipe inside your house and then carry one with you. That way, if you ever need to go back to your home, you can just place the pipe out wherever you are and then just teleport to your home. Obviously, this doesn't work if you have multiple pipes out on your island or in your house or what have you, because then at that point it becomes completely random. But for the sake of traveling, especially in a game like this, definitely going to be picking up 2 of those pipes at some point. For now, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this DIY workshop so I can start building stuff on my own. First things first, going to be constructing a fishing rod, which will definitely help in regards to the money-making aspect of everything. But first, I need some 5 tree branches. I have 1, so let's go get 4 more. I also missed that Tommy in the beginning is always kind of walking around and checking in on everybody. I do wish that Timmy, Tommy, and even Tom Nook every now and again would stop out of their tent or resident services, or even later on Isabel. I don't know, I feels like them just walking around definitely added more to the experience of them also being here, and not just, you know, NPCs that are running a shop or a store or what have you. So it's one thing I wished from the beginning that was maintained as the game progresses. And this was really easy. I got my 5 tree branches right here. Hi, Quinn. First, DIY completion of the playthrough, flimsy fishing rod. Just one last thing, a few common DIY recipes for you, free of charge naturally. Thank you very much. DIY app is now installed on your phone and ready for you to use anytime. This island is a diverse habitat for many interesting creatures. You can catch all kinds of insects and fish with a net and a rod. Okay. So this is probably where we are going to be introduced to the museum coming up soon. First, I'm going to go ahead and craft, or try to craft other things. I know I can make okay, so I can make a net, there's a campfire, and that's pretty much it. So I'll grab more tree branches so I can build a net, catch some bugs, some fish, bring them to Tom Nook. And since I can't make the DIY workbench yet, since I don't have the items necessary, we just craft here. It is funny how a lot of us forget that this this table exists to use. I know a lot of people either tend to go home or they do what I do where they just have like a DIY bench on them, but every now and again I'll come back to this table and completely forget they have the ability to craft just right here too. I just tried to access my tool ring too, which is, spoilers again for those that don't know, something that I'll be getting hopefully soon. It's one of my primary things that I buy just to make life here so much easier. You don't have to keep constantly going back into your inventory. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to catch maybe around 5 to 7 critters mixed between fishing and catching bugs. And I'll bring them to Tom Nook, see how many I need to bring before he prompts the next dialogue here. And oh man, I remember when this game first came out, man. I remember saving every single fish and every single bug that you ever caught and just putting them outside on your island, because selling them to, I think it was selling them to Blathers or what have you. I can't remember who you could sell it to, or one of the wandering merchants, either Flick or CJ. I can't remember. I think Flick was for the fish and CJ was for the bugs. I might have it flipped around. It's been so long, but I remember just hoarding them forever until you finally saw them. And it's some of those things that that I know I'm not going to be doing here that make me really, really wonder how different the game overall is just going to feel on a day-to-day basis. Because for a long time, doing that kind of stuff, man, like doing that kind of stuff, if you were there, and I don't know if anybody's even doing that stuff today, but, you know, back then, before things like Happy Home Paradise and opening up, Cap'n Islands and all the other stuff that we have now, it felt like making money and doing things to earn income in this game felt like just hoarding tarantulas. There were islands that no longer exist anymore. I mean, I'm like going back in time to like think about all the things in this game that not only do, I'm not sure if people do anymore in general, but just there were islands that were taken out of this game as well too that used to exist in here. And so that's pretty crazy too, because now playing it today for money is just, I don't know if you can tell, but for some reason the idea of taking this game in a more chill direction than the direction that it was 4 years ago when the world was crazy and we all had no idea what was going to happen and we treated this like a full-time job. I'm excited to bring Animal Crossing back to what feels like its roots. I mean, I remember vividly purchasing my first DS for my birthday and getting Animal Crossing and playing it all day, every day, and not having a care in the world about whether or not my little town looked good or not. And you obviously couldn't do a lot of the stuff back then that you could do now, but to get back into that mode where it feels like social media isn't completely ruining my playthrough of a game, and not that it ever ruined it in the first place, but I just know that with a game like this built to help design or help people design crazy island structures and things of that nature, I know that for a lot of people who just wanted this game to be something chill, it probably couldn't be. And to be completely honest with you, for the last couple of years or so, it's been one of the biggest reasons why I've unfortunately had to stay away from the game. There was all this weird hidden pressure to, I guess for lack of a better term, just perform and make your island look like something, like a spectacle, like people wanted to be there, rather than just a place that you wanted to go after work or after school just to go hang out and shut the world away. But enough of my little rambling here, which is going to happen a lot every now and again in this series, so I hope you're here for it. Got some fish. I haven't caught any bugs just quite yet because I've been so lazy to switch my items, but what I'll do is I'll catch a couple if I can find them. Clean up some of these weeds on the way there too. Like I said before, I'm just going to kind of clean this up as I go along here. Also looking up there on the little cliffs, I can tell that my native flower is roses, which is very nice. Always like roses. What's your favorite flower type? And is it different than the flower type that you have currently grown on your island? Let me know. Unfortunate thing is I think I'm going to have to go through this dialogue like 5 times separately. I will say that is one of the things that, you know, I was surprised wasn't not necessarily fixed because it's not broken, but I know that one of the things that a lot of people had with this game was that it felt like things took too long. You obviously, we still can't bulk build. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, there's no way tied to your generous donation just now, but I have a useful app to show you. The Critterpedia is what I'm going to get here from donating my first thing. But yeah, like being able to bulk craft stuff, being able to go through the same dialogue 50 times. We still can't travel from Mystery Island to Mystery Island using the airport, so it's very obvious that a lot of the stuff that they utilize to kind of keep you playing are still in here. So only being able to buy one thing at a time, only being able to go through one particular set of dialogue at a time. But for now, let's just keep this moving. Let's keep on giving them what I got and see when the museum dialogue finally pops up here. There's the phone call we've been waiting for. I remember just freaking out so much when I saw Blather's name. It just felt like the Avengers coming to your island every time a new NPC showed up. So I'm gonna take a quick look at my map here in the bottom right-hand corner, but unfortunately without any sort of poles or bridges or things of that nature, as always, the museum will just get placed here on the main section of the island. The houses are pretty spaced apart looking at the map, but there is this nice big section over here in the bottom right hand corner, and I think this might just be the place to go. Left hand side of the plaza is a bit too small, and if nothing else, definitely makes sense for more tents rather than a big museum. The alternate place to put it would be, I guess, here in the corner, but what I don't like is having this section behind it that I wouldn't really be able to see all that much. And again, I'm not terraforming this island as much as possible, if at all. And so what I'm going to do, I saw this nice big empty spot right here in the corner. Not too close to the beach, but also not very far from the plaza either. So I'm just going to imagine it here, knowing, of course, that later on, even though this is what it may look like now, it's going to obviously expand into the gigantic museum building that it does later on. So I mean, without looking at it from an overall perspective, it's just feels like a, you know, if nothing else, a better place than any. So yeah, let's go here. If you're someone like me who, when playing this game, you kind of deal with things like analysis paralysis on what to do, when to do it, how to do things when, and stuff like that, to be completely honest with you, the best decision, the best thing you can do for yourself is to just, and this might just be like a thing, but just make a decision. Yeah, you may hate it. Yeah, it may also be the best decision ever, but you will never know until you try. You just got here, so I'd hate to see you push yourself too far on day one. It's no fur off my nose if you want to rack up those Nook miles and pay me back quickly. Now, as Tom Nook said, certainly, you know, don't necessarily need to be pushing myself on day one in order to pay off my debt, but you know, as close as I can to getting it on day one, I would be more than happy to do. Without the extension of the Nook Miles Plus app, unfortunately, I know that a lot of that stuff is going to be a little bit harder, just because it means doing things like, you know, catching fish in a row without failing, all the big stamp things that you can do. And Nook Miles Plus really take a lot of the heat off of earning so much so quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of fish and catch bugs enough in order to afford the DIY recipes. And yep, just like that, already missed a fish. It's been so long. And then once that is all done, once I've kind of purchased all the DIY recipes that I could, maybe once I go around and harvest all the materials and build them all too, that might get me a little bit closer than I am now. I think I still need something like 4,000, and I certainly don't think I'll be getting that all today. I'll catch everything, I'll craft as much as I can, and see how close I get. Looking at the Nook Miles stuff, though, there are some quick things that I can do to just get a little bit of miles. DIY tools, so building them, I guess, would be... So I guess this would be the RPG aspect of the game. If you want to get all of your stamps, then I guess this would be the way to see your RPG status as you are continuing along here. So, okay, sure. I guess if I want to continue on getting more stamps, I should be building all of my stuff. But in addition to that, there's like planting flowers, and as far as I can tell, you you don't need to grow them to get that. So I just think I just need to plant a bunch. Selling fruit, they want to sell 20 of them. Selling seashells, all this stuff. So I'm probably just going to do some of the smaller stuff to see how fast I get there. So like taking a photo and stuff. I'm just going to do all this stuff now. And maybe I'll play a little montage of like me doing it, I guess, so you can see kind of like what I've accomplished so far as I do this. But I mean, with 300 miles every now and again, there's a good chance that I might get up to maybe even like 3K to 4K just doing these small little tasks. So I'm going to do as much as them as I can and see how close I get. Well, this is a bit unexpected, but also very welcome. It would appear and look like that I actually was able to accumulate and get the 5,000 miles that I need to go ahead and pay off my initial balance that I owe for Tom Nook. It's a ridiculous balance, of course, but I mean, it just goes to show that like if you do want to get this stuff out of the way with ASAP, you can build a museum, you can get this debt paid off, or at least the first one paid off within the first just 2 hours of playing the game, which when I first started playing the game felt like it was going to take an eternity, honestly. But for now, I have the 5,000 miles that I need for this. It really was the only thing that if I wasn't going to do anything else today, that this was the only thing I was going to have to do. And given that it's already done so early in the morning, I mean, that's awesome. 5,000 miles and not a mile less. Your move-in fees have been paid in full. This is a happy day for both of us, indeed. How is that tent treating you? I've always hated that look after he asks you how that tent is treating you. It's the true malicious intent finally coming out of him. It could be better. If you ever find yourself interested in a new home, do come see me. One more thing to share. We have a miles redemption service for the Nook miles you've collected. Fantastic. Obviously don't have a lot anymore because of the fact that I spent most of them, but it's nice to unlock all these things early. It felt like when I played this game the last time, it took a few days to unlock all this stuff. But that's also probably just because again, nobody knew where the game was going or how it was going to play. So we all just kind of did what we thought was right. There are some people who probably did a lot of this stuff day one 4 years ago. But for me, I remember taking my time a little bit in the beginning. What is this? Miles plus only? That's pretty interesting. I know a lot of this stuff has been in there since the beginning, like the tool ring and stuff. I know that I think some of these hairstyles may have been later on, and that might be even incorrect, but I did not realize that this stuff was locked behind having a home first. And of these things, the one that I'm really just going to be looking for are the essentials, the tool ring, the pocket organization guide, the cool hairstyle to have the hairstyle that I currently have in real life. I take a lot of pride in making sure that my little characters in my games look as close to me as possible. Pretty good tool, pretty much everything here, except for the hairstyles and the colors. And then here, I don't really think there's anything I want. There usually isn't. I always like the backpack though, the knapsack. So now that I know that stuff is locked behind Nook Miles Plus members only, let's go ahead and get started on upgrading all the houses. 98,000 bells. Yep, let's do it. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's just build the house right away. I thought about deviating from choosing a different roof color. Blue is my favorite color, for those that have been fans of the channel for a long time. And it's like when you try to make the bad guy decisions in video games, for me, like whenever I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, for example, I just cannot be a bad person. Same thing here. If you ask me what color I want something to be, as much as purple or aqua would look cool, it's just blue. One more thing, homeowners get an automatic Nook mileage program upgrade. And this is where, not necessarily that the game kind of opens up, but it's definitely where the dailies start to open up. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you're not someone who does that kind of stuff, basically, I've always viewed the Nook Miles Plus program as being a good way for you to figure out certain things to do that day. I know that when I first started playing this game, I used the Nook Miles Plus part to really give me an idea of what I wanted to do before I went into work. This stuff doesn't take half an hour, but the fact that you get 2 times Nook miles on certain tasks every single day meant that it makes for a very easy way for you to log into the game and you'd be able to know what to do at least for the next 10 minutes or so. I don't really think there's anything else that Tom Nook is going to be telling me today. And as for Timmy, let me just make sure there's not really anything else. Nope. At this point, it's really just selling stuff. All right, everybody. Well, I think that's going to go ahead and do it here on day 1 here on Churro. Hi, Quinn. Good to see you. Thanks for getting into the ending shot here. Say hi to Quinn, everybody. Well, thank you all so much for stopping in and hanging out with me on the very first episode of this new island here on Churro. As obvious as you can probably tell by now, if I haven't mentioned it enough already, this island is not going to be... if you are someone who is expecting a heavily designed, terraformed island where I meticulously go and try and do custom design, it's not going to be that. If you're looking for more of a playthrough where you get to just watch, chill, hang out, discuss Animal Crossing things, because admittedly this game has changed just a little bit in the 4 years that it's been out. And by a little bit, I'm almost under-exaggerating. With Happy Home Paradise, all the new things that they've added since the game first came out, swimming and stuff, all this stuff that you can obviously do now was not here when I first started playing. And so I'm excited to experience the game more where this kind of stuff just happens a little bit more naturally. I'm not waiting for a Nintendo Direct update to let me know when I'm finally going to be getting a feature and so on and so forth. So if this series interests you at all, please drop a like on it, and please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm planning on currently doing this. I thought about daily, to be completely honest with you. The game is kind of built to be played daily. At least that's what it feels like, and so there's a thought that I might do that. So if that interests you, obviously, how much you guys let me know you guys like this series will let me know how quickly to post these, but I do plan on posting them quite often. And who knows, maybe we'll see if we can get to a 5-star island naturally, and maybe that'll be the end of it. We'll just have to wait and see. But for now, everybody, thank you so much for rejoining me here on my brand new Animal Crossing New Horizons Island Churro. I hope you enjoyed. I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode. I don't have any reactions, really. Just whistled at the camera. But for now, everybody, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day. It's nice to be back. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.